The Met, as I am, are committed to supporting victims of so-called honour-based violence and seeing perpetrators. This is a matter the Met and the Crown Prosecution Service take very seriously. I understand your question is in relation to a specific case that has featured in the press over the last couple of months. As Mayor, it's not my role to get involved in the details of ongoing internal misconduct inquiries. You'll appreciate why I can't comment on the ongoing matter. The general point is this, though. Like any other organisation, the Met Police expects its staff to follow policies and procedures and will rightfully investigate any failures to do so. As I've said before, honour-based violence is a practice that we should not tolerate. There is certainly no honour in this sort of behaviour. It's an oxymoron. Tackling this horrific form of abuse in partnership with the police and other agencies is an important aim of my mayoralty. We're determined to do all we can to protect vulnerable Londoners. The Met are already working hard to support and identify all victims, including victims of honour-based abuse, FGM and forced marriage. It is extremely disappointing that there is yet to be a successful prosecution on NGM, for example, but it is important to recognise that prosecution of FGM is an incredibly complex matter for both the police and CPS. MOPAC is invested in training those health, social care and educational professionals likely to come into contact with those at risk of or have encountered honour-based violence. Through education and working with police schools and London's most at-risk communities, we're doing everything we can to help change the beliefs and attitudes that lead to honour-based violence. I firmly believe that prevention through training and raising awareness of this abhorrent crime is key to effectively eradicate it from the capital. That's one of the things I've learned from Assemblymember Arnold, who has worked and lobbied on this for years to make issues such as honour-based violence and FGM part of the political agenda.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Mayor. As you alluded to, this does relate particularly to the case of Detective Sergeant Pal Singh. I wonder what your position is that when he has been charged or, with gross misconduct, it came out of an interview he gave to the papers about the fact that if something had gone ahead, if a particular case had gone ahead with the CPS, it would have been the first conviction for forced marriage in England. Don't you think he should have been protected under the whistleblowing legislation we have, which is the Public Interest Disclosure Act?
I'm going to be very careful, Chairman, how I answer this question. Can I read the answer that will hopefully address the which is I can't comment on the details of ongoing internal misconduct inquiries such as this. In general, though, we want officers to feel confident in raising concerns internally and to make sure that there are systems in place to allow this. I know that the Met revised their policy on whistleblowers last year to help achieve this. And you'll appreciate why I can't get into the individual case.
Yes, up to a point I appreciate that, but you've made this one of your priorities quite rightly, Mr. Mayor, and some form of symbolic, if nothing else, support for the actions of somebody such as Detective Sergeant Singh would be hugely important when it comes to increasing the prosecution of this kind of violence.
Well, there's two issues. One is the lack of successful prosecutions. There has been a prosecution, not successfully. Two is the issue of whistleblowers. Dealing with the issue of the Met's policy on whistleblowers, the Met does have a comprehensive policy on whistleblowers that was updated last year, and all members of staff, for reasons that you'll appreciate, should comply with that policy. And there's a separate issue about why there hasn't been a successful prosecution, and I've explained the steps we're taking separately. By the way, the Met Police are taking many steps, including Operation Project Azor. SCO 17 have a dedicated response team with a focus on increasing public confidence to report honour crimes through media engagement and professional training. It is a complex matter. We've got to make sure that communities are confident coming forward. That's why Assemblymember Arnold, who's an expert on this, has been so obsessive at making sure we educate our youngsters, particularly young girls and mums as well, about the importance of coming forward.
Yes, I know she's done work on this, and it is of great interest to me. But the point that I think that Detective Sergeant Singh was saying was that he was worried that amongst our law enforcers there was a kind of growing sense of fear of offence, fear of basically cultural sensibilities being upset. And I think that surely, you say you can't intervene, but if you were to call at least suggest a cessation of his disciplinary proceedings, that that would be a real sign being sent out that in fact you take it seriously, that we take these crimes seriously.
If you're suggesting that the Mayor of London interfere with and what's already in the public domain, a misconduct hearing that the Met Police are undertaking, just think through for 10 seconds the precedent that would set for future investigations and misconduct hearings. And I'm sure you appreciate the distinction between operational matters and matters of policy.
Yeah. Do you think actually that, I mean, your role as keeping us safe, everybody in London, is probably your most important role. Do you not think that actually that there is a kind of oversensitivity on the part of the Met when it comes to these general crimes? Because it is extraordinary, whether it's FGM or whether it is in fact forced marriage, that in fact we still haven't had a prosecution in these areas.
Well, can I say this? I mean, I was hoping I was quite clear in my answer. There is no honour in these crimes. As I said, it's an oxymoron. And prosecution should be brought without fear or favour. A crime is a crime. Forced marriage is a crime. Female genital mutilation is a crime. And if it's the case that these crimes are being committed, we should encourage members of the public to report these crimes to the police, and then the police must take action.
Fine. I would just say, surely that, therefore, I don't know whether you would agree that, you know, if it appears that things have just dropped, like the CPS just dropped this particular case, it's not quite clear why, that sends exactly the other signal that there's no point in reporting it.
Well, one of the things, I mean, the reason why I mentioned this member Arnold is because she, for years now, like me, have been going around encouraging people to report these things. And you're right, if an impression is created that when these things are reported, they aren't taken seriously, or there are sensitivities, to use your words, and that's the wrong message to send out. That's why all of us need to make sure we send the message loud and clear to the communities, but also to the CPS and police if it needs being sent, that if a crime has been committed, it should be investigated and prosecuted, and hopefully we'll have a successful prosecution sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you.